And we are live. Yeah. I always fiddle around a little at the beginning of a live video while I'm waiting for people to come on into the chat room. So let's see. Good morning and welcome to another one of my ridiculous podcasts, coming to you live from beautiful downtown Crestline. Yeah, it's still beautiful. In the San Bernardino Mountains of Southern California's Inland Empire. Well, I'm thinking of starting something new in January, a sort of read the Bible through in 2022. I've never read it all the way through. Some people do that every year. Might be a good idea. Instead of just picking little bits and pieces to go over here and there as I come across them. And, that just might be a good idea. Well, anyway, it is a lovely day. It's getting rather chilly lately. It isn't quite autumn, but it's getting there. In fact, where I live, you could kind of say fall has fell. It isn't quite summer anymore, but here and there we still have hot days when I don't want to go outside. I don't want to move. Oh, hello, Witta in the chat room. Now, if you're watching this on replay, I'm not activating the live chat replay for these. I don't know why not. I'm just not. Oh, you evil phone. Quit that. Of course, it's an ad. I can't buy anything. I'm out of money. I've kept my utility bills as low as I can. The water has been running at $60 a month. The base rate that you have to pay before you use any water is $25. In winter, I keep it down to more like $40 a month for tap water. The electricity was about $10, but the rates went up, so now it's $20 a month. Same with the gas. It was $10 a month, but the rates went up, so now it's $20 a month. And in winter, it will be $100 a month. So I need an angel, a patron, someone who can afford to just send me a couple $100 every month to keep the lights on. Not a huge amount of money, just pay the bills. Well, in the meantime, while I still have electricity and internet, let's talk about California. I'm a fifth. Something's bugging me. Face itches, but I use the napkin because you don't want to touch your hands to your face. especially when there's a pandemic. Okay, we are having a recall election. People are fed up with Governor Newsom, but it will be close. So, whichever side you're on, if you're in California, head to the polls. Let your voice be heard. Now, I'm a fifth generation Californian, born and raised. And this state is not what it used to be and not what it could be. But frankly, ever since Pat Brown, who was governor like forever when I was a child, you know, Jerry Brown's father, this state has been going downhill. Our Constitution, our state constitution, used to say that sales taxes could not exceed 5%. And those taxes went to Sacramento, to the state government, where they parceled them out to the counties. Well, they found a loophole, a workaround. Yeah, the state sales taxes, I think it's 8% now. They changed it. But the can add on an extra sales tax to fund their budgets. So, like here, it's more than 10%, more than double what it was when I was a child. And not only is it more, it's like 11 point something, you know, a bunch of extra digits after the dot. You can't do it in your head. You can't calculate it. You can only estimate. At 5%, what you did was you bought something, you look at the price and divide by 10. And then since it was 5%, that's half of 10, you take your 10% and divide that in half. It's easier than dividing by 5, trust me. So if it costs $10, 10% of that would be $1, and half of that would be 50 cents, and that was your tax. Not no more. It's kind of like the crazy Social Security tax. And since I'm not a W-2 employee, if I make any money, I have to pay like 13 point something percent. Even though I'm in a zero income tax bracket or a very low income tax bracket. And it used to be only if you made more than $600 in a year. And after decades of people lobbying to increase that, because it was designed primarily for teenagers who have after-school jobs and don't make much money, and 600 is unrealistically low, but for the past few years it has been 200. The excuse is that Social Security is going bankrupt. Well, that's only because the federal government has stolen the funds. They claim they've borrowed from Social Security, you know, at interest. But really what they've done is emptied out the Social Security account. They'll never pay it back. I mean, for example, if you buy a house for $50,000, good luck finding one, and you rent it out at $500 a month, you don't have $50,000 anymore. you have $500 a month. And you have to pay property taxes, maintenance, all kinds of stuff. In California, most landlords also have to pay for utilities, at least for the water. Oh, hi, Howard. In the chat room, once again, I will remind you guys that I'm not activating the replay on the chat. So if you're watching on a replay, you probably won't see the chat room. Well, anyway, California used to be wealthy, not only because of Hollywood, but also because we have a lot of natural resources. Some of the best farmland in the world that is drying out in a man-made drought while we pour millions of gallons of water into the ocean instead of saving it in a reservoir. We aren't just letting it flow, we're pushing it out for some environmental madness that doesn't even make sense. We have oil that you can't drill. For years, it's been more practical to export our oil to Nevada or some other state, have them refine it into gasoline, and then import it back to California. That has been cheaper than to use our own refineries because of taxes and insane regulations. Now it's impossible to drill the oil in the first place. They talk about fracking. Well, that has been done for over a century, pumping water into a well to get the oil flowing again. They call it fracking because it fractures the rocks. Well, I'm sure there are places where you should not do that, and there's filthy, polluted water that you should not use. But come on. In Culver City, where I was born, the Baldwin Hills are rich in oil. You don't have to frack it. It seeps up onto the ground all by itself. But they've had to quit drilling it because the rich people who have built houses in the hills don't like it. So they came up with some environmental crap. Oh dear, they're working on the street out front. That's loud. I'm going to have to shut one of my doors to reduce the noise. Oh Lord, my poor cats. They're used to having both doors open in fine weather. That noise is too much. You see, a few months ago, our street was repaved by the county. Here comes the jackhammer. Well, they paved over, as they always do, they paved over all the manhole covers. Oh, Lord. I can't shut the other door, and it wouldn't make that much difference. Can you guys let me know if that noise, how bad that noise is? How bad is that noise? Well, anyway. So now, a few months later, they've come around to dig out the manhole covers with a jackhammer. Oh, thank you, Howard. Oh, boy. So, I don't understand that. I guess it's easier to just pave in a straight line and not go around the manhole covers, but there's got to be a better way. There's just got to be. Huh. Um, I have not watched any more of Firefly, so I can't uh, do much of a review on it this week as I did last week. Joss Whedon's Firefly, the complete series. Someone gave this to me. Not even anyone I know, really. It was part of a giveaway that was anonymous. They dropped it off out front for anyone who wanted it. And I wanted it. I have a little free library where people can donate books and take books. Oh, the jackhammer's killing me. Maybe if I turn this around a bit, the microphone won't pick it up as bad for you. Let's move me over. There. I hope that's better. Well, anyway, a little free library was a godsend when we were locked down and our public library was closed. The friends of the library could not take donations because of the pandemic. So people, they just didn't have people working. They were quarantined or just too nervous about being out and about during the pandemic. So anyway, so people who had books to donate had a place to bring them, and people who wanted books had a place to get them. I hope the worst of the jackhammer is over and done with. I've lost 2 listeners. Okay. Well, anyway, I haven't got a whole lot to talk about. Ah. They stopped interlibrary lending? That's horrible. Better World Books. Yeah, well, I have a lot of books. And by the way, now I'm down to 1 listener, Witta. Howard disappeared. Let me check. Participants. No, Howard is still showing up in chat, but oh, there he is. He must have lost connection. Welcome back, Howard. It said you were gone for a moment. Maybe your internet is as skitsy as mine. Let's see. Come on. Here we go. Yeah, I have lots of books, and anytime you want a signed copy of one of my books, I can send you it as long as you're in the continental US, where postage is almost reasonable. I can send you a signed copy for $25, including postage. You just need to email me about it. So I'll put my special email, the one that has less spam, in the chat for a moment. I'll delete it before I'm done here so I don't get spam. Oh, come on, guys, finish with the jackhammer. Ah. Where is it? Here we go. I haven't watched this one a second time, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad you like it, Howard. Let's see. I've got to watch this again. Eventually. I will place it on Phil's grave, and along with some kitty cats and other owls. Oh, I hate jackhammers. Of course, the guy with the jackhammer has ear protection, but his co-workers don't. How crazy is that? There's a Serenity Moog that goes with Firefly? Well, more and more, I'm thinking that we are in Babylon. Oh, fan made. That's interesting. Maybe Serenity is on YouTube. Oh, fan inspired. Okay. Well, Serenity, I think that's the name of their ship, isn't it? Oh, the fans paid for it. That's cool. Maybe the fans can pay for me to do a movie. I have been interviewed for several documentaries about Phil. Okay, it's time to take down my email before it scrolls up too high. But if you didn't get it, you can always ask me while I'm still hair in my mouth while I'm still here. Well, I guess my memory's improving. I watched that first episode more than a week ago and I remembered the name of the ship, but only when I was reminded. When I was in college, I had an eidetic memory. You know, photographic. I could read a page in the textbook, close my eyes and see it, and read it again with my eyes closed. Not no more. I'm lucky if I can remember to turn off the stove or the water faucet or to let the cat in or out, but the cat reminds me quite vociferously. Come on, guys, finish with the jackhammer, please. They did that yesterday, but they didn't finish. And every few minutes I heard the supervisor shouting, "Idiot! Asshole! Don't do that! Do this!" So I guess one of the workers screwed up. So now they have to do it again. I have 4 listeners. Yay! Now the chat room says Howard is gone again. Huh. Oh well. This is driving me crazy. That's a good one, Witta. Okay, my computer is weird. Or YouTube is weird. Witta says in the chat room, if you need to remember to take medication every day, feed your cat a snack at the same time, and the cat will make sure you never forget. Well, my computer is an old laptop. Someone gave it to me brand new, but that was 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years, I think 3. And a Gil, who has the Cardinal Sin channel on YouTube, is putting together a GoFundMe to get me a computer. My problem is that will compete with my GoFundMe for help with paying my bills. I'm looking for something in email, so I'm not looking at YouTube at the moment. Well, that won't work. I gotta go to something else. I voted on the recall, Richard. I mailed it in and I got the email saying they received it and it will be counted. Now, let's see. Oh, the jackhammer's killing me. Come on. Come on, you evil thing. I prefer PayPal anyway. PayPal doesn't take as big a cut as GoFundMe. All right. Come on. My computer's being very, very slow, but it looks like my connection here is holding. I probably should what's my brain doing? Can't remember. I'm sorry. I should put up my email again. What's this? Omaha Steaks is sending me too many ads. I can't afford Omaha Steaks. Now it says I have no listeners, but 3 people in chat. Go figure. Here we go. Okay, get back. Ay. Well, I'll worry about that later. Maybe I'll put it in my description. Hi, Howard. It says I have 0 listeners, but 3 people in chat. Go figure. YouTube is nuts. And I can't say what I really think because they'll boot me. I'm not a Trumper, but I hate Biden. Well, maybe that's a little strong, but I want Biden out of the White House. Let me see. Well, my wireless modem says it has a strong signal. Go figure. Go figure. Now I have 1 listener and 3 people in chat. Okay. So anyway, I think we are in Babylon. Without moving us through space or time, we've been put into exile in a nation that I no longer recognize. Hi, V. Reconnecting. My computer doesn't say it's reconnecting. Of course, YouTube could be lying to me. Ah, blessed relief. No more jackhammer, please. Ah! They're removing the pavement, the asphalt pavement that they laid down a few months ago. Anyway, let's see. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a libertarian. I do not designate a political party because I don't like any of them. I decide each issue in terms of my own reasoning, my values, my ethics and morals, and my mind, not just the brain inside this bone case that we call a skull, but my mind. Sure, we needed to leave Afghanistan, but we basically had left. The troops were drawn down to a mere 2,500 instead of the 10,000 we had under Obama. Biden drew it down to 600 and then had to send in 6,000. And he still left civilians behind. The State Department representatives at the embassy in Afghanistan wanted to start evacuating civilians in May. But the higher-ups in the White House said no. So instead, the military left and the civilians were on their own. And I'm amazed that we got out as many as we did, but we left people behind. Americans don't do that. So, since the government is doing nothing, some private citizens and charities are working together to help people get out. Not only is the State Department not helping, they're getting in the way. They're telling other countries in the area not to let the planes land. In other words, don't let these private citizens rescue people. They won't say why. Well, finally, due to public outcry and outrage, they've let, I think it was 4 plane loads of Americans and people holding American visas, passports and visas. They got out to Qatar. And I'm told that it's pronounced gutter, but I don't like to say it that way because in English, the gutter is the side of the road where all the trash and dirty water collect. Anyway, several hundred people got out, but there are more. And the legitimate elected government is still there, still fighting against the Taliban in one province. Not only are we not helping them, but we actually blew up the ammunition dump that they could have used in their defense against the Taliban. We didn't blow up the helicopters and guns and uniforms that the Taliban now has. They've either sold or given some of the Humvees, the armored Humvees, to Iran. And my fear is that this is all leading up to a shooting war where we have to go back, only now the enemy is as well armed as we are. Oh, yeah, they left behind the data to help the Taliban identify the people they want to kill. And since they didn't have a list of American citizens, we gave them one. Idiots. It only thing I can say is it must be racist. Our white, middle-aged and elderly male leaders don't like brown people like the Afghanis. And we're still talking to Pakistan, where the Taliban came from. They're actually foreign invaders from Pakistan. Most of the Taliban are not Afghani. They're Pakistanis and Arabs. I gotta refill my water. Enjoy the music of the... Ooh, they quit. I still need more water. Ah, dum de dum, dum de dum de dum, dum I will definitely need to do a makeup session when the jackhammer is gone. Ah, one more cracker. My tummy hurts. It says it's hungry. I read this book once. You evil jackhammer. Okay, it's so long since I read this book that I'm going to have to read it again. Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock. I don't like his more recent books. I think he's gone off the deep end. Or maybe he's desperate for more spectacular news to keep himself in the limelight. I think he started on the downhill road when he married his photographer. And frankly, now I'm just an amateur myself, but I take better photos than she ever did. So as they say, she must be good in bed. This book is a great book, Fingerprints of the Gods, and it'll keep you busy for a long time. See, if I go past the end material to the actual text, it's 500 pages plus an index, a list of references, and a selected bibliography. By the way, I hate when they put all the references at the back of the book, instead of footnotes or whatever. So on the book I'm working on, I will put the notes at the end of each chapter. Right now, in the preview editions, they're within the text. I haven't separated the notes, footnotes, or endnotes from the text. I'll do that when I'm finishing the book. Meanwhile, it's really been a long, hard struggle, and I had to do 2 short stories. One for an Austrian, next to Germany and Switzerland, an Austrian entrepreneur who hopes to turn my story about Mary Magdalene into something for like an online streaming movie or series. I've already been paid for that one. And I finished my other story for Somniscope, the second anthology in the Mirror Maze series. Yeah, I'm with you, Howard Russell, about the Sphinx. Almost certainly was originally a lion's head facing the constellation of Leo. And what was that documentary starring Charlton Heston, or narrated by Charlton Heston? It drew upon the work of a number of really great scholars about the age of the Sphinx. And I was really impressed with the young, the geologist. I have his book, Voices of the Rocks, which I was about to read when someone disorganized all my books, so I don't know where I put it, but it would have the author's name. So let's see if Google will tell me. Come on, mouse cursor. Voices of the Rocks. Robert Schoch. He's a geologist, and he looked at the, and a professor. He looked at the Sphinx and said that was weathered by rain. Definitely water, and definitely not from a flood. It came down from the sky. And the last time it rained in Egypt was at least 8,000 BC, or was it 8,000 years ago? Or rained enough to weather the Sphinx like that. The head is obviously recarved because it dates much newer than the body of the Sphinx. And the Sphinx apparently is much older than the pyramid. And of course, the dream stela tells how this guy became pharaoh because the god represented by the Sphinx told him that if he restored the Sphinx, he would become pharaoh, even though he was not the firstborn son. Well, he dug the Sphinx out of the sand. He didn't make the Sphinx, he dug it out. But some Some academics try to date the Sphinx to that pharaoh's reign. Goof! Stupid people are born every day and they rise to the highest level of incompetence. That's known as the Peter Principle. I think that book was first published in the 1960s. 2,000-year cycles? Uh-oh. Well, we don't know for sure, but we're probably leaving the age of Pisces and going into the age of Aquarius. The cycle is not exactly 2,000 years. But you got to watch out for Aquarians. They play games. Mind games. I know. Well, eventually I will find the voices of the rocks and read it. But in the meantime, I've found this one. Graham Hancock, Fingerprints of the Gods. Huge book. And it really actually is related to my work on exploring the exegesis of Philip K. Dick. That might end up being the final title. We'll see. It's just amazing to me that the evidence is ignored by the people who are most qualified to use that evidence to find knowledge. And what really ticks me off is the scientists and their students screaming, it isn't falsifiable. If it isn't falsifiable, you can't let it into science. Well, they better start calling their field of study something other than science. Science is the search for knowledge. It is not a set of procedures that you go through in an experiment. That is a very small and limited part of science. I got to get the right name here. The story of penicillin. Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin because he was a terrible housekeeper. He left on vacation without washing the dishes first. And when he came back, his bacteria cultures, which he had tossed into the sink, were dying. And there was this funny looking mold that was killing them. Well, then he did a few experiments with it, but he didn't worry about falsifiability. He just introduced the mold to bacteria cultures and found that it killed bacteria. After so many decades of scientists laughing at natives who would eat moldy bread when they were sick, they were eating penicillin. Now, that might be falsifiable. You might be able to do a controlled study with sick people, and some get penicillin and some don't. But nobody bothered to falsify this scientific miracle, a breakthrough. Until Tuskegee. Black prison inmate men. Now, there's some dispute as to whether the researchers gave them syphilis or whether they just had it. In any case, they divided them into two groups. One group got penicillin and the other did not. And in the group that did not get the penicillin, they were studying the progression of the disease. That was inhuman, inhumane, and wrong. Sure, penicillin's effectiveness could be falsifiable, but nobody bothered with that except at Tuskegee, where a bunch of racists conducted the experiment on black men who were unfortunate enough to be in prison. So don't scream at me about falsifiability and your science. Science led to people like Skinner. His daughter hated him. He raised her in a box with no real human contact. He didn't love her, he experimented on her. Yeah, my dishes tend to sit for a while, but that's primarily, well, partly laziness, but primarily that I consider it wasteful of hot water and detergent to wash two or three things. Let's wait till the sink is at least half full, or the bottom of it is covered and maybe a couple things are stacked up. And it really does work with pots and pans to let them soak after overnight and then wash them. It's much easier. Or at least let them soak for an hour. I actually have a dishwasher out in the driveway. There's no room for it inside the house. It's supposed to sit on the countertop, but I have so little countertop that there's no place for it. At least not until I get some shelves put up so I can clear half of the counter. My kitchen is tiny, teeny tiny. The counter is about 8 feet long with a sink in the middle, a double kitchen sink. So it's really 2 feet over there and 2 feet over there. And I don't even know if that countertop dishwasher works. I've never tried it out. Someday we'll see. Okay. The jackhammer's done. Yay. I think they're done. I hear the trucks going away. We've been on for an hour. I really want to watch The Owls of Gahoogle again, Legend of the Guardians. And I want to watch more of Firefly. It's just a matter of blocking out the time when I won't get interrupted. YouTube is kind of blinking on me. Well, you academics and your students better quit calling it science. If you insist on doing controlled experiments that are falsifiable and counting all the little beans in the dish and using numbers, statistics, to prove your point, stop calling it science. That is not science. Science is exploration, searching for knowledge. Science is the many scholars. Champollion is the most famous, but others did much of the work, deciphering the Rosetta Stone so they could read Egyptian hieroglyphics. That's science, and it is not falsifiable. It's a search for knowledge, and that's what science is. Science is some crazy guy, in my opinion, getting into the so-called coffin in the king's chamber of the pyramid to see what effect it might have on him. Oh, Corona. I moved my fire alarm out into a separate room. So when it was in the kitchen, it would go off when I boiled water. My smoke alarm. I guess it thought water vapor was smoke. I couldn't use the tea kettle without either turning off the smoke alarm when it went off or moving it away. So I just permanently put it in the other room. It's crazy. Oh, that's another thing. While I was out with my broken hip, the helpful people found both my fire extinguishers, one for the bedroom and one for the living room. They took both of them and stuck them on the floor beside my stove in the kitchen. Well, if I'm cooking something and it catches fire, I am not going to go toward the stove and bend down to pick up a fire extinguisher off the floor right next to the fire. I'm going to run away to the living room where I keep my fire extinguisher. And if, God forbid, a fire should start in my bedroom, I want the fire extinguisher right next to the door. So when I run out the bedroom door, I can grab the fire extinguisher, turn around, and use it. I don't want it on the floor in the kitchen beside my stove. If you're going to mess with other people's things and think you're organizing them, at least get a brain before you do that. Think about it. And never, never change the order in which I put my books. Oh, Howard got a new toaster. Yeah, toasters are infamous for setting off smoke alarms. But sometimes I want my toast charred black. If you have an upset tummy, burnt toast is awesome, and I happen to like the taste of it. Even dry all by itself, little better with butter. Oh, wow. If I'm going to stay on a little longer, my head ears are still ringing from the jackhammer. I'm going to have to recycle a little of that coffee, so hang on a minute. Oh, I think I can turn this around now. I think they're done making all that noise. I'll be back. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum-de-dum. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum-de-dum. Gotta get the door. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum-de-dum. Okay, I think that's better. How dare they do road work when I'm doing my podcast? Let's see. Well, Tora isn't exactly hiding, she's outside playing. But yeah, she hasn't been saying hi to her adoring fans lately. You see, I forgot that it was Tuesday. For some reason, I thought it was Wednesday when I woke up, so I didn't keep the doors shut so I could grab Tora and have her say hi to everyone. I gotta do something about that glare. I did put up shade cloth in addition to the wallpaper that I hung over the glass door, but the door's open. Whoops. I'm going to at least temporarily move my computer to about 90 degrees, but not today. I'm really not up to moving furniture around at the moment. Oh well. Hmm. Smoking too much again. That's an idea. I'm thinking of ways to reorganize so that my teeny tiny house makes more sense. I'm going to have to do a little work outside. I started organizing the shed so I could put more stuff in it. And I've found lots of stuff I can toss out, sell, or give away. But now it's such a mess, I'm not putting things in it till it's better organized. How that figures. Turning the computer eliminates most of the glare. Let's see. That is a window. Or is it? Let's see. No, it's the door. But if I sit in front of the glare, it helps. Ah, yeah, little more. See, on the other side, there's the kitchen. No, that isn't the kitchen window. It's the other door. Or is it? Humph. Shouldn't be. Let me see. Yeah, that's the kitchen window. It's gotta be. Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right, this thing's making me crazy. Oh, well, it's less glare than the door. Okay. It's just weird for me to sit at this angle. Um, a little later, or maybe tomorrow, I might try an experiment in taking the laptop outdoors to see if I can do a live show in the garden. See, when I record one on my phone or my tablet, it takes forever to upload. And I mean forever. Ah, coffee and water. No place to put them. Get back. Ah, Lord. I'm not being tortured. This isn't a big deal. Don't worry about it, Witta. I've got my comfy office chair. I couldn't possibly put Great Granny's rocking chair at this angle. But the office chair works. This is weird. I'm pointing at the door, but the picture you see is the window. It's just a crazy angle. Um, wow. I'm kind of doing a sort of modern version of a Victorian parlor with little furniture, little things, and lots of them. The point being that you can easily move them around and get them out of your way or pull them out when you need them. Oh, Corona retracted her message and I didn't see it. Oh well. I kind of saw it but didn't read it. Uh, anyway, yeah, I can recommend this book, but Graham Hancock's more recent stuff, I think, goes off the deep end, way too far off. I'm looking for another book if I can find it. Um, oh, yeah. No. Ah, here it is. I have not read this yet. I intend to. It's by Colin Wilson, Unsolved Mysteries, Past and Present, from Arthur and Merlin to vampires and zombies, spellbinding true cases of historical enigmas, voices from the grave, and psychic and supernatural occurrences. By Colin Wilson, author of The Occult and The Outsider, and he has a co-author, Damon Wilson. I think that might be his son. But I have not read it yet, but I'll let you know when I have. Unsolved Mysteries. Someone gave this to me. I did start reading Unholy Alliance by, what's his name? Um, uh, Peter Lavenda. But when he got involved with the disclosure people, I kind of soured on him. All he did really was write a novel for them. So I guess that's okay. But I keep hearing that he kind of stretches the truth a bit. However, he has dug up some amazing information that can be fact checked and does come out as true. Like these strange priests of a. Just a second. A sort of cult that broke off from the Orthodox Church. Apparently, they don't have a congregation, they're all bishops. Well, they're allowed to do that. I mean, I once got a mail order minister. Um, what do you call it? Well, I sent in $10 and they made me a mail order minister. You can do that. But I never did anything with it. Oh, you watched Radio Free, Corona? Yeah, Phil, what? He didn't intend to be a prophet, but yes, he was. Things that he wrote about kept coming true, and that disturbed him because it was not his intention. But Radio Free Album Month, we're pretty much there. Of course, they don't have to knock on your door anymore. They just kick you off the social media. One of my early endeavors as a student had to do with the leader of a, well, a very sketchy, I'd say, criminal organization. They didn't really want to kill him. So what they did was erase him from all the computers. So no computer had a record of him. He didn't exist, and nobody would pay attention to him. Kind of prophetic, but it wasn't my idea. It was my professor's idea to end it that way. And it did fit. At the time, nobody, I guess there was an internet, but nobody had it. That would have been like 82, somewhere around there. No, 81. But we knew about the DARPA net. We knew there was internet. It's just that we didn't have it. Our phones were still bolted to the wall or sitting on the desk, big, heavy things. And you couldn't own one yourself. Well, actually, starting in the 70s, you could. But for the longest time, that phone belonged to the phone company and you rented it, you leased it. And when you gave up your service, you had to give back the phone. Although, in most cases, if your phone was bolted to the wall, they'd leave it there for their next victim. I mean, customer. Phil once predicted that the phone company would take over the universe. The phone company and crabgrass. Oh, my eye itches. Sorry, I got eye itchies. Okay, that's better. Radio Free Album with I Still Say is the best movie made from Phil's work. A Scanner Darkly, I liked it, but many people don't like the rotoscope animation. The original Total Recall had Phil's sense of humor and elements from a broad spectrum of his work, not only the short story We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. Blade Runner had his dark vision of the future, but not his sense of humor. Oh, that's what I wanted to get to with Blade Runner. When Phil wrote that, he intended for Rick Deckard, the robot android hunter. He didn't call them replicants, he called them androids. He wanted Rick Deckard to be like George Orwell in Orwell's short story, Shooting an Elephant. But I don't think he succeeded in having Deckard realize the way Orwell did that his job as an official with responsibilities and so forth dehumanized him. I realized in reading the book that Deckard was dehumanized, but I don't think Deckard ever realized it. George Orwell captured it perfectly in his story, a must-read, Shooting an Elephant. He was an official, I think in India, and an elephant had gone kind of crazy. But by the time he got there, the elephant was calmed down. But in order to maintain his official status as a representative of the queen, he had to kill the elephant. He had to shoot it. And there, at that point, there was no good reason to kill that elephant. It had simply had a brief tantrum. And it was over. Orwell realized that his job dehumanized him. You're surrounded by androids. Yeah. Hi, Carolina. I got to purr for that. You know, I learn at least as much from the chat room as you do from listening to me. I have the best chat room in the universe. And it's an honor to be with the people who preserve and promote Philip K. Dick's legacy. You worked so hard for so little recognition. Oh, I just saw something weird outside. It's just one of the road workers, but he's bent over and his orange vest kind of reminded me of, that great big ball in The Prisoner that bounces along and captures people who try to escape. I gotta watch The Prisoner again. It's been too many years. All right. I've got the wrong name. I keep thinking David McCallum, but he was the sidekick on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Patrick McGowan, I think. Yeah, Patrick McGowan's spin-off from Secret Agent. The theme song to that show was a hit. And I don't know which came first, the show or the song, but Secret Agent Man, they're giving you a number and taking away your name. And then in The Prisoner, he's always shouting, I am not a number, I'm a free man. There he is in a penal colony, but he's a free man. He's his mind is free. He does not go along with the program. Oh, Danger Man. I've heard that and I've never quite remember what Danger Man is. Oh, Patrick McGowan. Yeah. Okay, why was Danger Man canceled? Come on. American financing failed to materialize. Was The Prisoner the sequel to Danger Man? Well, that's how he conceived it. Ah, Danger Man ended when McGowan resigned, but according to the other one, American funding evaporated. Wow, McGowan was alive till 2009. Well, I haven't ever seen Danger Man. I'm going to have to see if I can find it. You've got me curious. Definitely gonna have to find Danger Man. I wasn't aware that it existed. Okay. Learn something every day. See? I got the greatest chat room. Maybe Danger Man never made it to the American television scene. I have no memory of that, but I remember Secret Agent and The Prisoner very clearly. I'm smoking too much and they cost too much. But when I'm not podcasting, I smoke a lot less. My garden is mostly a failure this year, but everybody around here says the same. The weird weather, like 2 days of frost and freezing, followed by 3 days of 90-degree heat, kind of does things to your plants. Even the roses, while they're pretty healthy, they haven't done much blooming. Haven't had a lot of flowers, not like last year, not like most years. The apple tree, yeah, it had a good crop of apples, but it dropped them all too soon. They were not ripe. And I have to do something about the worm infestation in the apples. I think it's coming from the oak tree. So maybe if I trim back the oak tree, those worms will stay in the acorns where they belong. There's always next year. I didn't get any peaches. I didn't get any apricots. My fig tree continues to grow nice big leaves. It might never have fruit. You never know. But I've had it about 5 years, and they say it takes at least 10 before it can have fruit. And once again, it might never have fruit. No, I have one of those electronic cigarettes where you screw in a new little, looks like a filter, but it's a vessel holding the liquid. It just doesn't do it for me. I need an actual cigarette. And by the way, I'm not breathing it into my lungs. I'm not going like you do with pot. I puff on them. And yes, your mouth and sinuses can absorb the nicotine. You don't need it in your lungs. So why do that? Occasionally, I will accidentally inhale the cigarette smoke, and then I cough my head off and cough my lungs out because I'm not used to it. And when I was a teenager, my mother criticized me, not for smoking, but for doing it wrong. Because I just puff on them. Oh well. So I'm not going to really switch to vaping, but in certain circumstances, when that's all that's available to me, I take out the electronic thing. Let's see. Let's see if I have it here. Not there. Okay, I've gone and put it somewhere. Probably down in the bottom of my purse. And guys, do not criticize women for carrying purses full of crap. You have all the same crap, but you have pockets. The fashion designers, in their infinite wisdom, I don't have one. I'll have to find it. Fashion designers decided that women don't like pockets. They break up the lines of their clothing. So, and your point is? Yeah, that's fine if you're a fashion model walking on the runway. But if you're a real person, leading an ordinary life, go ahead and break up the lines. I need pockets to hold all my crap. So there. Oh, what are they doing now? I think they're putting the manhole cover back on. I guess I should call it sewer access. Manhole is kind of sexist, but really, most women I know are too smart to go down one of those holes into the sewer. And where we live, you wouldn't go down there anyway. You can't. It isn't big enough. It's just an access so when the sewer line gets clogged, they can use water under pressure to blow it out. Big tobacco are trying to kill vaping. Yeah, vaping is getting a really bad rap. And these scientists say that vaping can kill you. Well, so can smoking. Now, smoking, they claim, makes you die 5 years sooner than you would have. Okay, my grandfather was 88. If he and he smoked. So he did not live to be 93. I'm willing to make that trade. I mean, the 5 years comes at the end of your life, not the beginning. Right? And frankly, Granny lived to be 93. And since, at least at that time, women lived an average of 5 years longer than men, he didn't die early. He fit the statistics exactly. 88 to 93 is 5 years. And Granny was amazing. I wish I'd known her better than I did. But I did get to know her in the last 10 years of her life. Person hole. Thanks, Corona. Yeah, it isn't a manhole, it's a person hole. Now, I think California has gone totally crazy. They passed a law against flavored cigarettes because supposedly black people like flavored cigarettes. So they might quit smoking if they can't get them. You know, like tutti frutti flavor or whatever. Well, it also applies to menthol. And even though I don't ordinarily smoke menthol cigarettes, sometimes I want one. I want that minty flavor. Can't get it, not in California. Shame. Do, do they really think that smoking is so evil? Now, the Native Americans had tobacco, like the peace pipe. They didn't smoke it all the time, just on special occasions. I mean, tobacco came from the New World, and it was often used as a medicine, not only by Native Americans, but by white European immigrant doctors in the United States. So, there. In fact, one of the first actual treatments for tuberculosis that actually worked before penicillin was smoking tobacco. Back then it was usually with a pipe, but it could be a cigar. The spas, the health spas in the Alps, would have people move to a high altitude with clean air, feed them a healthful diet with lots of fruits and vegetables, and have them smoke tobacco. And that treatment worked. Oh, yeah. The problem with alcohol, I've noticed people who go to the bar to have a drink want a cigarette with their drink. Of course, in California, you cannot smoke inside the bar, and it's illegal to take your drink outside. And you're supposed to keep an eye on your drink so nobody slips anything into it. That has created some problems. Some bars have outdoor seating now because of that. It's got a roof but no walls, so people who want to smoke while having a drink can do that. Yeah, and poultices for some kinds of wounds or other skin conditions, where sometimes tobacco leaves would be included in the poultice. Of course, it became less popular when they discovered cocaine. There are people, tribal people mostly in South America, who chew on coca leaves from which cocaine is extracted to help them have more energy, do more work, climb mountains. They don't get addicted. They're just chewing the whole leaf. They aren't injecting a chemical all by itself. Okay, Corona, what do you have in Ireland? No smoking in the bar, in the pub? We do have something like a pub. It's called a bar and grill, but it's the same concept. You can get a good meal and a drink. They have beer on tap, they have cocktails, so maybe a little more than a pub would have. I don't think pubs serve mixed drinks. Could be. I've never heard of it. I do know that on Midsummer Murders, the guy who's driving has to settle for lemonade. And I would have to because I can't drink beer. It does not stay down. My tummy hates it. Oh, outdoor areas for smoking, yeah. It's funny, in Colorado, I got to visit there for a PKD festival. We stopped at a little, basically bar and grill. When the staff went out to smoke, they were not smoking tobacco. They were smoking marijuana. It's legal there. And they look down on people who smoke tobacco. But it's okay to smoke pot. Yeah, some of our coffee shops, they're more like family restaurants or diners, but we call them coffee shops. Some of them have outdoor seating. Oh, and one of them really is a coffee shop. For about 2 hours a day, they'll serve cold sandwiches if they can get the staffing to make the sandwiches, but they're mainly coffee, lattes, espresso, etc. And there's a glass case with some pastries that they make, but they don't make them fresh to order. They make them and put them in the glass case. I was disappointed. I forget where. Oh, I was in Lake Arrowhead, the wealthy people's part of the mountain, but there's a good grocery store there, and they have lots of little shops. And I saw that there was a tea shop. So I went in there thinking, oh, cool, I can get a cup of tea. Nope. They sold tea in bags and tins and loose leaf tea and tea bags, but not a cup of tea. That was disappointing. But the coffee shop had tea. They bring you a coffee mug, they bring you a pitcher of boiling water, and they bring you a selection of tea bags so you can brew your own, including herbal teas. But you usually order that with a meal, at least lunch. I've been watching, by the way, these British cooking shows, and I'm absolutely amazed at what, according to them, the Brits have for breakfast. What they put on the plate for breakfast would give me all 3 meals for a day, at least. I'd probably have leftovers. You can have sausage or bacon or both, eggs, potatoes. What all did they have? A pudding, which we would call maybe a cake with some sauce on it. Um, Brown something, not a sweet cake necessarily. And what else did they have? I can't even remember what all they had on the plate. It's amazing. Do you really eat all that for breakfast? Maybe special on a Sunday morning? Oyster fry. I'll have to look that up. Let's see. Come on, mouse. Oyster fry. Oyster fry. Oh my. What is Ulster fry made of? Fried bacon, sausages, black pudding. That's what that is. Mushrooms, tomato, and eggs. Served with fried soda bread and potato farls. I thought that was a T at first. You know, farts. Yeah. Yeah, well, the guy who used to cook for Princess Di many years ago had black pudding, bacon and or sausages, potatoes, toast. I think he had tomatoes, although you probably call them tomatoes. Um, and there was more. There was some vegetable that I've forgotten. Oh, mushy peas. They're green peas, but they're kind of mushy. That sounds good to me. I always boil them beyond reason and add butter and kind of smush them myself. So, yeah, mushy peas. Oh, now I'm hungry. And the toast was usually a sourdough bread, soda bread, of course. I've seen videos on that. Instead of yeast, they use soda, baking soda, to make it rise. So it's a lot like what we call biscuits. Not cookies, but those round disc shaped puffs of bread for breakfast. We don't usually fry them though. And we don't usually what you call soda bread we call quick bread, and we often add things like smashed up bananas and extra egg and spices like ginger and cinnamon and nutmeg and maybe chopped walnuts. Anyway, a loaf of soda bread looks so inviting. I really want to try making one. You can't get the flavor and the aroma on a YouTube video. Not yet, at least. I'm sure it's coming. Ulster fry sounds good, but let's add some mushy peas. Another thing I might try if I ever go to England is bubble and squeak. I believe it's mashed potatoes and sausages. Yeah, everything is better fried. I'm with you on that. And I don't worry about the fats and oils because I need every calorie I can get. I'm tired of being so darn skinny. It isn't good for my health. That buttered bread in a bowl with drained peas on top. Yeah, that sounds yummy. But you gotta have plenty of butter and a dash of salt. And if you wish, some black pepper. Oh man, am I hungry now. Well, it's been almost 2 hours. I could go and make a sort of brunch, half breakfast, half lunch. And today is grocery shopping day, so you've given me some ideas for what I might purchase. Let me put bacon on the list. I have sausage. Sausage. Yeah. You know, I almost forgot to put coffee on my shopping list. Shame on me. I have lots of real coffee that you brew, but I've been lazy lately and used up all the instant. And it's good to wake up to fresh brewed coffee in the morning, but during the day and before bed, I just make a cup of instant. Okay, well, I think that's enough random ramblings for one day. What do you think? Okay, let's see. I gotta type thank you all for listening. I won't hit enter just yet, but I will be going soon. All of you take care and keep up the good work. You are so awesome, all of you. It really, truly is an honor to meet all of you, even if it is just in a YouTube chat. Really means a lot to me to know that Phil is remembered and loved. So have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.